So the topic of today for this first snippet in the GT in Purple Makeup Initiative, it is the space. How do we occupy the space depending on our gender? And why is this topic important? I will share my screen to show you one image. Here it is. And in this image, you can see the called iceberg of gender violence, no? And if you look at this image, you can see that gender violence, which more terrible expressions in the murder, is the murder, wouldn't be possible if many other things happened. Some of them can be considered very tiny. And because of this, we don't think they are very serious, but indeed they are. Some of these things, for example, is avoid that women has same space that other genders to speak. Maybe for illustrate this, I will give you some data, okay? So a Spanish feminist, called it Isabel Calderón, discovered that when a woman is occupying the 30% of the conversation, men perceive that she's occupying the 70% of the conversation. What do you think? So under this perception, it is very, very normal and understandable that a man wants to recover his space because he's really perceiving that the woman is occupying more than him, and he feels that they are unbalanced, but it is not true. And why men has this wrong perception? The specialist in history, Mary Bird, in her book Women and Power, tells us, for example, about a guru in the 2nd century before Christ that said, and I will read now, a woman should avoid exposing her voice to strangers in the same way that she avoids taking off her clothes. And I can give you another example. Some powerful man in the ancient Greek said that the worst misfortune in the Greek Senate would be that one day, for example, one senator, when beginning to speak, uttered the high-pitched voice of a woman. So see how important is that woman has a space to speak, that this very busy man spent so many energy trying to silenciate women. But let's see more recent examples in the history. So, for example, we have Henry James, that was a writer in 1880, and he wrote that about the contaminating, contagious, and socially destructive effect of women's voice. So he also said, and I read again right now, language is in danger of becoming a generalized babble or hoots-pooch, drooling, grunting, or tongueless whining, and will sound like the mooing of a cow, the hooting of a donkey, and the barking of a dog. But maybe you can tell me, hey, that was many, many, many years ago. Okay, so now let me give you an example more recent. And we can go, for example, to 2016, the year 2016, in the political campaign of Clinton against Trump. So a Washington Post report covering Clinton's speech began with a description of her voice. And I read now, sounded like thunder in a bowling alley tunnel, and then turned soft and gentle. She shouted a lot. So a Watergate journalist, called it Bob Woodward, said that Clinton, and now read again, she screams, she projects a sense of tension into everything she communicates. And even on a radio show, the journalist Hannity, after playing a record of Clinton talking, she asked, is this nice? Anger, bitterness, yelling. And don't you think that that was only the right-wing press or the main newspaper who was saying these kind of things, evaluating, and touching, using these terms of telling, screams, and other adjectives to talk about the voice of Clinton, Hillary Clinton? It was also the left wing. So that proved that it is not about ideology in terms of political left or right side, no? But it was about gender. So, for example, the journalist John Idarola in the Young Turks said this: is she running for president, or does she want to star in a Scream remake? So you can see very similar comments, that those comments of Henry James or those comments in second century before Christ. So these attitudes and prejudice are deeply rooted in us, in our culture, in our language even, and in the millennium of our history.